So we have learned about data policies, UI policies, and client script. We have learned about what is on-load client script. So we'll check other types of client scripts. Okay. So in client script, we have four types. Okay. First one is onload, which will be running whenever the form loads. Like if you open any of the form, it will reload or load, right? So whenever the form loads, the onload client script will be executing. Okay. For example, if I open incidents, so whenever any of the form on any table gets loaded, okay, it is the list view. In the list view, the client script, onload client script won't run. It will be running only on the form. Okay, whenever any of the table, any of the tables, like for example, on incident, we have some onload client scripts. So all the onload client script will be running on this particular table. Okay, for example, on incident, we have on incident table, we have couple of, let me open what are all the, so on incident table we have 9 onload client scripts. So in this, some of them are active false, so active false scripts won't run, so only active true will be running. So 7 client script will be running whenever incident form will get load. Okay, so I'll show you for onload client script what we have written. So what I have written is like I have got the value of impact by using g underscore form dot get value. So impact, if it is high, if impact is high, then I don't want them to select the impact with low or medium. So whenever it's high, I want only that option to be visible. Okay. If I open any incident, so now impact is high. So here I'm not able to see other impacts like lower medium. Why? Because this particular onload client script is getting executed whenever the form is getting loaded. Okay. So similarly, if you want some other things, whenever you want to do something, whenever the form loads, then you have to use onload client script. Okay. So we will check on change client script as well. So I'm creating new client script, which is on change. So I have selected the table as incident because I want this particular client script to be run on incident table. Okay. So first, let's go through one of the example. Okay. For example, whenever uh, like assignment group changes. Okay. Okay. So whenever this assignment group changes, I want to remove this assign to. I guess this particular functionality is already there. Let me recheck if it is there or not. If it is not there, then I'll try to implement it. Okay. So what I'll do, whenever assignment group changes, I'll empty this particular assign to, because this particular able tutor was selected before. Okay. So this able tutor might not be in this particular assignment group, but this assigned to value is still same. Okay, that's why I want to empty this assign to whenever assignment group changes. If you see here, if you see in this particular group, agents group, there is, let's check. Yes, there is able tutor. That's why maybe it is not getting emptied. Help desk. Okay, it is getting emptied. That means it is already working. So there might be already some existing on-chain client scripts, which we will check first before creating new ones, and how it is working. I'll tell you. Okay. So let me remove the type as on load, and then let's check on change now. So there is empty assigned to on group change. You can see this particular client script. Okay. So what they are doing here? So they are first, like if you check here, they are getting the value of assigned to. Okay. And they are checking whether current user is present in the current group or not. Okay. What it means is, for example, before this, like if you see, I have selected agents group and able tutor is the user. Okay. If I change this assignment group to something else, like for example, app engine admins. So before emptying it, it will check whether this able tutor is present in app engine admins or not. If it is present, like if the able tutor is present in app engine admins, then we won't empty this. Okay, if he is not present in app engine admin, okay, then we are emptying it. If you see in app engine admins, able tutor will be present. That's why this particular assigned to is not getting emptied. Okay, so here they have written glide record. So it's glide record actually a server side API, but it will still work in the client side as well, and it is only restricted. It is only restricted for global client script. Like if the scope, if the application is global, then only this particular glide record query will be working. Okay, and in this particular client script, we should avoid using glide record, but it is already out of the box. That's why I'll try to explain what they have written. Okay, so from the first, we'll be checking what are all the parameters and what are all the parameters for on change and what we can uh, do with it. Okay, if you see here in on change client script, we are getting few parameters, which is control, old value, new value, is loading, is template. Okay, so in this, control means the HTML of that particular element. Okay, if you want to change the background of that particular field, or if you want to do some HTML manipulation, then you will be using control. That I'll be showing you. The old value and new value we have, right? So what is the old value before changing it? So now it is app engine admins. Before this, some other value, right? That particular value, if you want, you have to use this particular old value, and the new value is current selected value. So we have is loading as well. So in service now, how the data will be getting populated is, so whenever any form, if you open any of the form, just observe what is getting happened here. So first, the form is getting loaded. So first, before the values comes, okay, before the values comes, all these fields will be coming, and then the values will be populating slowly. Okay, like if you have very slow internet, then you might like you might check this. So but actually what happens, first all the fields will be coming, and then each of the value will be populating from the database. Okay, So value of short description for this particular record, value of category for this particular record, like that every value for each of the record will be getting populated from the database. Okay, so initially the value will be empty and these will be getting populated once we get the data from the database. So ideally what is happening is, so initially value was empty and the actual value we are getting from the database. That means we are here changing the data. Like initially it was empty and we are adding, we are populating the data from the database. So that's why this on, whenever the form getting loaded as well, okay, whenever the form is getting loaded as well, the on change client script will be running. Why? Because on change client script runs whenever the field value changes, right? So the initially the value will be empty, but whenever the value comes from the database, actual value, then only we are populating it. So it means whenever the form loads as well, on change client script will run. So that's why if you try to create any of the client script, okay, like for example, this is a new client script. In onload, you can see no parameters pass, just you have to write the script. But in on change, they will be providing you some default code, okay, where there will be parameter of is loading, and if it is loading or new value is empty, then return. That means what it means is, if the form is still loading, then return it. Return it means like if you return from any function, all the codes which is below it won't run. That we know, right? So if the form is loading and or new value is empty, then we won't run this particular client script. We will be just exiting from here. Okay. So whenever the form loads, if you do not want to run any of the script, then you have to return it. So that is the default code that they have given. The reason behind this is, as whenever the form loads, the values will be updating. That refers as the on change. That's why this on change client script will be running whenever the form is loading as well. Okay, that's why whenever if it is loading, then we will be returning. Returning means in those cases, this particular script won't run. Okay. So here we will be checking, here we are checking old value not equals to new value. Is old value or new value not same? Okay, if it is same, then we don't want to process. If it is not same, then only we want to process. What it means, like if assignment group is already agents, okay, if assignment group is agent selected, once again if a agent is selected, I don't want to run this particular code. So that's why is old value and new value different? Is it not equal? Then I want to store some value in g underscore form, g underscore scratchpad dot form value. Okay. So then what we are doing here, we are checking if the new value is empty or null or it is different. Okay. Or new value is not equals to g underscore form, g underscore scratchpad dot form value. Then what we are doing, we are checking whether we have value new. If new value means what is, whether this particular new, like here we have old value and new value. So what is mean by new value is what is the currently selected value. Like here it is the agent, we have changed it to agent. Like now if I select analytics center settings manager, the new value what it will hold, it will be holding this particular sys ID of this particular analytics settings manager. Okay, So if it has the value, then only it will return true. If it is null or empty, then it won't, this if won't execute. And then g underscore form dot get value of assign to. And if assign to has any value, sometimes assign to might be empty. In those cases, we don't want to run this particular script. Okay. So is assigned to is having value? Like if it is has, if assigned to has some value, then only run this script. Okay. Because we want to make it empty, and if it is already empty, we don't want to run this particular script. Okay. So now what we are doing, we are writing some glide record. So we are gliding sys user gr member, which is the relationship between group and the user. For example, we are using agents as a group. Currently selected group is the new value is agents, and the user which is in assigned to, like we are querying with group.sysID is new value. So new value is whose new value, here we will be selecting the field name, new value of assignment group. Okay, which will be the sysID of the group. So that's why we are querying with group.sysID is new value, and with the user who is the currently selected user, like who is already in the assigned to, there we are checking. Okay, and we here we want only one record, so we are checking here set limit. Okay, so gr dot set limit to 1, and then we are querying. So in the client script, whenever you are using the glide record, you have to use the callback function. Okay, gr dot query, the callback function here. Whenever the database, from the database we get the data, this particular callback function will be running. So this particular callback function will be getting called, which is same as group lookup callback. So this group lookup callback will be running whenever we get the data from the database. Okay, and this here we will be checking whether it has the value. Group lookup gr has next will return the value if it is true. Okay, if it has the value, like if it doesn't have the value, then make the assign to empty. So for example, how it is running is, for example, here we have checked, right? So here what it will be doing is, for example, currently selected group is agents, and I have selected able tutor. Okay, so this is currently selected, and whenever I change this, okay, whenever I change it to something else like analytics settings manager, so what is happening? So here we are querying this thing with analytics setting manager and able tutor with this group members. Okay, so in analytics settings manager we are so maybe though, like this, like if I check with analytics settings manager and able tutor, I'm not getting any values. Okay, I'm not getting any values. So what has next will return here? Has next will be returning false, because it doesn't have any records with that particular query. Okay, has next, what this particular function will be doing is, has next means is it having at least a record? If it has records, it will return true. As it doesn't have any records, it is returning false. So false of not is true. Okay, so if it is not having any record, then false of not is true. So if true means we are making it to empty. Okay, so ultimate goal is, like if the user, like if the currently selected, for example, if the currently selected, for example, agents is there, okay, and we have able tutor, okay, I don't like if I change the assignment group to App Engine admins, okay, in App Engine admin as well, the able tutor is there. Then I don't want to remove this because in App Engine admins as well, able tutor is present. Okay, if he is not present, then only I want to make it empty. So that is the thing this particular on change client script is doing. Okay, so in this case we are using glide record. Okay, but it is not a good practice to use glide record. We have to use glide ajax. Okay, we can learn about glide ajax in later, but is there any doubts here as of now? Okay, I'm considering there are no doubts. Okay, so for example, whenever the assigned to gets selected or assigned to gets changed, so in this particular user, we'll be having multiple values, like for example, email address or something else. Okay, so whenever the assigned to gets changes, I want here the email address of that particular assigned to I want here to be populated. Okay, uh, or what I can do is we can even do it on load, but whenever on change itself I want to show that. Okay, so whenever assigned to gets changes, we can even show the location, but let me check if the location is it present or not, the values. So we have location. So I'll try to show the location of this particular user whenever the assigned to gets changes. Okay. So show location on change of assigned. Okay. So as we want this particular script to be run on change of assigned to, I want to show the location. Okay. So I have to select the assigned to field here. So if you forgot to select this particular field name, this particular client script won't run. Okay. So before going to that particular requirement, I'll be showing you how we can use the control and this particular is loading and all. So first, let me just check how we can use this control. So control is an HTML of this particular so for example, on the incident form, we want this background color of this particular field, we want to change. Okay. Then, so ideally we can use field styles. Okay. So we will be having something called configure styles. So here you can create few values. Let me just show you. Like if if you can use these, then for example, this particular same rule I want to apply. So field styles, how you can use, I'll show you. For reference, I'm using this. So whenever assigned to, if the value is empty, then I want to apply this particular gold color as a background. Okay, let's check if it works or not. I am making it to empty and saving it. Uh, Let me just reload it. Or let me just remove this value itself. So as you can see, if the value is empty, is in gold color. Like you want to highlight and say that please fill that value instead of like you can say it using the colors as well. How you can do it? You can use this particular field styles. How you can configure the field styles? You have to right click and click on configure styles. Even from the list view, it will be working. For example, in the list view, as of now, I guess we don't have assigned to. Let me check. Yeah. So if the value here it is empty, we are getting the colors, right? How we are getting the color for empty? Why? Because I have configured the styles. Okay. So similar kind of things, like more specifically, for example, if it is empty, you might want to place some placeholder dynamically. Placeholder means showing something like that. I'll show you. Okay. Control. So let me check how we can use the control in order to show something in that particular. If there are any examples, then it will be easier for me. I'm just checking for any of the examples. Placeholder. So I'm not getting. I've used it, but yeah. So generally, we'll be getting that particular field using g underscore form dot get control. But similarly, directly also we can use that. Okay. So as of now, we have the control. Okay. For example, where is that particular field? Okay, this is the one, right? So we have the control. So here we have control dot placeholder. Okay. Fill the value, something like that. Okay. So let me test it. I'm just having some placeholder which says fill the value. Let me close all this. Maybe because of color, we might not be able to see it. Control dot. So I'll just uh, come again. I can come again on this because it's not mostly used, but we can use like in order to change the background color or in order to do something with it. So ideally we will be using field styles only, but if you want, then you can check change like this. So we have to use background capital C. Maybe uh, because of that we are not getting. We have even missed this style. So we have to use the jQuery kind of a code in order to set those values. Okay. So and let me just remove this particular field value so that our client script will be running because both are working on a background color. Okay. Let me refresh it. This is not working. So there might be few reasons which why it is not working. Maybe we need to enable this particular isolated field. So if you go to the configure form layout, there will be field called isolated. Okay, isolate script. Where is it? Where is it? Don't know why I'm not finding that particular field. Let me check. Okay. So isolate script is true, right? So whenever you are writing any jQuery, you have to make it false. Okay. So we can do it from here, or let me get it here, and from here I can do that particular isolate script to false. Then we will check if it is working. Otherwise, I'll tell you tomorrow, like how we can use that by checking it. Okay. So, for example, where is our client script? So here it is. Isolate script is true. We have to make it false. Whenever you want to do some DOM manipulations or you want to write any not so like out of service now, you might want to write some DOM manipulations or queries. In those cases, you have to write that. Still, it is not working. I'll check what is the correct syntax and I'll let you know. So meanwhile, what we'll do, we'll try to get the values of assigned to. Okay, so here isolate script is there. I'll check it tomorrow. Meanwhile, we'll try to get the value of assigned to like assigned to location. Okay, so there are few ways we can use glide record in order to get the value. So, but that is not recommended. So even we can use get reference. Okay, for example, okay, we can use the get reference. So how we can use the get reference, I'll show you. Okay, so how we can use get reference, first I'll go to developer.servicenow.com and look for an example how I can use a get reference, and even I'll tell you why we shouldn't use get reference. Okay, for example, if I click on client, so in G underscore form, we have something called get reference. Okay, so it will be returning the glide record for that particular specified field. So here we can get the all the glide record for the assigned to field. How we can get? We can use G underscore form dot get reference and the caller ID, and here we have to give the callback function name, which will be running whenever we have the glide record data. Okay, so here this particular do alert of caller, this caller will be running as gr. So caller dot get value of VIP. So like this we can write it. So first I'll show you how we can write using this. Okay, so first what we have to do, we have to use this get reference and then pass the field name and then the callback function. Here we will be passing the callback function, which will be running whenever the value is present, like whenever the glide record is ready. Okay, so here G underscore form dot get reference. So field name and callback. So if you see field name, comma callback. What is the field name? I want to get the glide record of assigned to field. So I can just write assigned to, comma. I want to run a function which is uh, like show location. Okay. Okay, this particular function will be running whenever we have the value of the record of entire assigned to. 1 second. So this particular show location function is a callback which will be running whenever we have assigned to field value. Like assigned to means generally on the incident we will be having this particular value itself. Okay, but whenever this assigned to gets changes, okay, I want this particular assigned to entire record. Okay, so it has to get all this particular user record, and when this particular user record is ready, that particular function which is show location function will be running. Okay, so this show location function accept that particular glide record. Okay, user gr. Okay, this particular using GR, user GR, we can get whatever the value we want. Okay. For example, I want location. So either we can use get value of anything, like for example, and as we want the location, let me check what is the field name for the location. And so in this, I want, for example, I want the location. So in this particular location, this is SysID. If I get the value of location, I'll be getting this SysID, but I want this particular value to be. So let's check whether this particular get display value will be working here or not. If it doesn't work, then we have to follow the other method. Okay. So get so and for now I can alert something saying location. So location of selected user is the location. So let's check if it works or not, how we can check it. So if I go to this particular incident and try, here we have only one value. First, let me refresh this page so that all the client script will be loaded. Okay, now I want to select this particular agents, and in this agents, I'll be selecting Abraham Lincoln. Okay, and if I change the assign to value to something else, it should run actually, but it's not running. So it is not running means something, there is a issue with our code. First, let me check in the console. Is there any error which we are getting or not? So if you see here, user gr.get display value is not a function, it is saying. So we have the get value, but we don't have the get display value. That's why we are getting an error. That's why that particular code is not working. Okay. So I'll use get value now. So whenever you have some error with client script, you should check in the console. Then you will be understanding what is the issue. Okay. So let me use get value. And let me just refresh it. So if I select able tutor, location of selected user is some SysID I am getting. What is this particular SysID? This is the SysID of that particular location. But I want actual value of that particular location. So let me try to change something, and if we can get, we'll see. Okay. So I guess even this doesn't work, but we'll check. Now, if I try to select able tutor, here again I'm getting user jr dot location get display value is not a function. That means we are not able to use get display value for that particular code. Okay. As we are getting the Gladric card. We'll check if there is any way, and then we can go for other method. I'll show you. First, we'll check if it is possible or not. So, display name of reference field. It pulling display value into reference field. Display. So if I see here, I recommend doing with this Ajax call, you need to be more user information in this case. You need more than just use using glad for career get method, but you will have to make multiple stars. It's more surgical. Okay. So using glad Ajax, we can use that. Okay. Let me try to use this get display box is some function where you can give the difference field name, but I don't know, this is deprecated, I guess. First, before using it, let me check whether is it available or not. Okay, so where we can check it whether it is available or not, you can go to developer.servicenow.com. In the reference client, display box. So if you enter display box, I'm getting no matching found in the San Diego. In the like Quebec as well, it's not there. So I doubt it will work because it was removed. It was deprecated. Okay. So even this is not working. Okay, so ideally what we use is we use GliderJax so that whatever the information we want, we can get from there and we can just use it here. Okay, so like why in which cases we can use get reference. For example, in the user, for example, I want the email. Okay, so how we can get the email? As it's not a reference field, I can just use get value and give email. So then I can say email of the selected user is mail. So here, if you see in the users, like in the able tutor here, email is a string field. I can directly get the value. Okay. So let me just test it out. Okay, whether it is working or not. So if I select able tutor, email of the selected user is able.tutor at example.com. Why I was able to get the data now is because it's not a reference field. I can directly get the value. Okay. So in some cases, like for example, if you want location or a department, you might want the display value. So in those cases, we can we can use like other methods like glide ajax. How we can use the glide ajax, that we'll check. Okay, so for example, so here we have used get reference. So we will check here like how we can get the value of for example assign to is there, right? So if you use get value for assign to, what is the value you will get? You will be getting the reference like sysid you will be getting, or you will be getting the display name. Okay, that we'll be checking now. For example, where assign to equals to g underscore form dot. So if you type get, here we have few options like get value we have. Okay, and in g underscore form we have few values like get decimal value, get element, get in value, get label of. Okay, so here I want to use get value and check what is the value I'm getting here. So here you will be getting the sysid, not the display value. Okay. Let me refresh it. If I select some in here. So sysid of assign to is, I got the sysid. Okay. And once it is populated, I got the email of selected user. Okay. So if that is the reference value, we will be getting the sysid only, not the display value. Okay. So what are all the alternatives from which we can get, that will be knowing tomorrow using the glide ajax. Like how we can use the glide ajax, what is the importance of glide ajax, we'll be knowing tomorrow. So instead of using get reference and glide record, we should go for glide ajax because it's more of customized. Okay, and we can write whatever the code we want. That's why we prefer glide ajax instead of get reference. Okay, because we have few limitations where we can get only the less values or the only sysids, not the display values. And even if you use glide record, for example, I'll be getting all the details. I'll be getting user ID, last name, first name, title, everything I'll be getting, which I don't use in the client script. Okay, but if you use glide ajax, you can just pass the information which you want. If you use glide record or get reference, what happens? It will be giving you the all the data of that particular record, like all the fields, user ID, first name, last name, that will be affecting the performance of the system. So that's why we shouldn't use those. Okay. So I'll just cover this particular control and glide jacks tomorrow. Okay, that's it for today. Okay. Is there any doubts here?